Hi, my name is Kayla Loomis, and I am doing this presentation for PD on multisensory instruction. Just a little background about myself. I am currently a first year teacher, and I teach in near the Albany area of New York, and I am fifth grade teacher of special ed. So let's just get right into it. So for our agenda for the day is we're first going to go over some definitions of the things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be looking at some different research articles, and I'm just going to tell you some of the findings that I found and how it relates to what we are learning in this presentation. Then we are going to do and talk about the benefits of multisensory learning. And lastly, we'll be discussing just reflecting on what we're learning and answering any questions that you guys might have. All right. So, first off, we're just going to give some more definitions. So, the first definition of what we're talking about is multisensory instruction. And multisensory instruction is simply you're using more than one sense at a time. So, that is your five senses: hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and I don't remember the top one off the top of my head, but the five senses, that's it. And as well as different learning styles. So, that could be kinesthetic and tactile, that can be visual, that can be auditory. And using all of these things to help create a sense of learning and creating it and bringing it together with oral reading fluency is going to make so much more growth um, for a student. So now oral reading fluency. And oral reading fluency is how a student reads based on their rate, their prosody, which is like their expression and how they read, and their accuracy. Now, you're probably wondering, why are we looking at both multisensory instruction and oral reading fluency? And these are both important things, especially for a student who has a learning disability or is classified with a 504 or an IEP. This is really important because when you're using multiple different senses and different learning styles, it can promote growth in so many different ways that you don't even know is possible. And reading is one of the most important skills that a child has to learn, which we'll talk about a bit later. But oral reading fluency is how a student learns comprehension. They learn about vocabulary, they learn about grammatical errors and how the grammar works, sentence structure. And if a student cannot read fluently, then they are not going to be able to learn how to read and comprehend what they are learning about. So, before we get into the main things today, I want you to either pause the video, or if you're with a group of teacher friends, I want you to also pause it and answer this question. How can you use multisensory instruction in your classroom today? I know a lot of people today have students who mainstream into a general education classroom, or if you're a self-contained teacher, how can you continue to use multisensory instruction in your classroom? So go ahead and pause this video, write it down, and then after the video, we'll come back and you'll tell us about it or leave a comment in the description. Welcome back. I hope you guys were able to answer that question. So, we're first going to talk about one article. It was called An Investigation of Predictors of World Fluency, Text Reading Fluency, and Reading Comprehension. Now, the primary goal of this article was to expand our understanding of teaching reading, how it's related to reading fluency, reading comprehension, and how it changes from a different time over time and period of reading fluency. So I got really three main points that I want to go over. Fluency is crucial for understanding. Reading fluency is related to comprehension, and it can grow in vocabulary and grammatical knowledge. Article number 2, the title was Investigating the Effects of Multisensory Approach on Improving Emergent Literacy Skills in Children with Autism Disorder. Now, the main question that this article had to ask was what effects would multisensory approach have on emergent literacy skills in children with autism? And the main purpose of this study was to examine if multisensory approach can be used to improve literacy skills with autism. The findings from this study was that there was a connection between multisensory instruction and literacy skills with ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. This can be improved by using the multisensory learning approach. And multisensory learning instruction can be delivered through visual activities. It can be used through auditory activities and kinesthetic and tactile. And from this article, I want you guys to take away that multisensory instruction leads to increased engagement, improved attitudes towards learning, and improved retrieval of learned information, whether that's short term or long term. And the third article of what we have been talking about is called The Effect of Multisensory Teaching Method on Students' Reading Achievement. Now, this study aims to investigate the effect of multisensory teaching method on students' reading achievement. And the reason for this study was that there were so many students who had difficulties reading English. There was an effect with using this multisensory learning instruction based on their reading achievement. And like again, multisensory is your sight, your hearing, your smell, your touch. You don't really use taste, but I guess you can kind of interweave that however you see fit or creativity that you want to do in your classroom. And a good quote that I liked from this article was people naturally learn through multi senses. For most of us, we learn through sight and touch, and at least through one of our senses alone. And I thought that was really important because students who have disabilities will thrive off of multi instruction. So, if you are a special education teacher or you teach students who have an IEP or have disabilities, please try to use multisensory instruction and see the growth that you can make in your students, and they can see it too. So, the three things in this slide is that reading is one of the most important skills in learning. And, like again, we want to use kinesthetic, auditory, tactile, and visual learning for students with disabilities. Now, there's lots of different benefits of using the multisensory learning approach. And I'm just going to go over a couple bullets here. So, students with learning disabilities have a better chance of learning to make growth in their reading. And it also uses multiple senses to get students moving and learning. So, why multisensory instruction? Every single child in the world today can learn, and they have the capability of learning, no matter what disability they have. And I know I am very passionate about this because every single student can learn and will learn if we use different approaches to help them. Every student is not going to learn the same way, and by using this multisensory instruction, it'll really help these students thrive and grow and just make progress and be confident in who they are. If you guys want to talk about this more, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to set up a meeting and we can discuss this PD even further. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about multisensory instruction. If you feel free, like you want to learn more, please just Google it. There's a lot of different videos online. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Bye bye.